Hello, I'm Pedro Benavides.
Orlando Amaro.
My name is Elisa La Fuente. This is our project for Student Link's 3D anatomy class, and in this video we'll be identifying muscle movements and giving real-life examples. This is the flexion of the elbow. The joint involved is the hinge joint. The muscles involved are the biceps brachii and the brachialis. The agonist is a bicep muscle and the antagonist is a tricep muscle. This movement occurs along the sagittal plane. This is the extension of the elbow. The joint involved is a hinge joint. The muscle involved is a tricep brachii. The agonist is a tricep brachii and the antagonist is the bicep brachii. This movement occurs along the sagittal plane. This is the adduction of the arm. The joint involved is the ball and socket joint. The muscle involved is the teres major and pectoralis major. The agonist is the pectoralis major and the antagonist is the supraspinatus. This movement occurs along the frontal plane. This is the abduction of the arm. The joint involved is the ball and socket joint. The muscle involved is a deltoid muscle. The agonist is the supraspinatus and antagonist is the pectoralis major. This movement occurs along the frontal plane. This is the dorsiflexion of the ankle. The joint involved is a hinge joint. The muscles involved are the tibialis anterior. The agonist is the tibialis anterior. This movement occurs along the sagittal plane. This is the plantar flexion of the ankle. The joint involved is a hinge joint. The muscles involved are the gastrocnemius and soleus. The agonist is the tibialis anterior and the antagonist is the soleus and gastrocnemius. This movement occurs along the sagittal plane. This is a circumduction of the shoulder. The joint involved is the ball and socket joint. The muscle involved is the serratus anterior. The agonist is a deltoid and the antagonist is a pectoralis major and latissimus dorsi. This movement is multiplanar. This is the eversion of the foot. The joint involved is a subtalar joint. The muscles involved are the fibularis, extensor, and digitorum longus. The agonist is the peroneus longus and extensor digitorum longus. The antagonist is the tibialis posterior. This movement occurs along the transverse plane. This is the inversion of the foot. The joints involved are the intertarsal joints. The muscles involved are the tibialis anterior and tibialis posterior. The agonist is the tibialis posterior. The antagonist is the peroneus longus extensor, and this occurs along the transverse plane. This is the lateral rotation of the arm. The joints involved are the ball and socket joints. The muscles involved are the deltoid muscle. The agonist is the infraspinatus and teres minor. The antagonist is the subscapularis and teres major. This movement occurs along the transverse plane. This is the medial rotation of the arm. The joints involved are the ball and socket joint. The muscles involved are the subscapularis. The agonist is the subscapularis and teres major. The antagonist is the infraspinatus and teres minor. This movement occurs along the transverse plane. This is the opposition between the thumb and finger. The joint involved is the saddle joint. The muscle involved is the opponens pollicis. The agonist is the flexor pollicis brevis and the antagonist is the abductor pollicis brevis. This movement is multiplanar. This is the ulnar deviation of the wrist. The joint involved is the condyloid joint. The muscle involved is the flexor carpi ulnaris. The agonist is the extensor carpi ulnaris, and the antagonist are the radial deviators. This movement occurs along the frontal plane. This is the pronation of the elbow. The joint involved is the hinge joint. The muscle involved is the pronator teres. The agonist is the pronator quadrupedis. The antagonist is the biceps brachii supinator. This movement occurs along the transverse plane. This is the supination of the elbow. The joint involved is the hinge joint. The muscle involved are the supinator muscles and the biceps. The agonist is the biceps brachii supinator, and the antagonist is the pronator quadratus. This movement occurs along the transverse plane. This is the hyperextension of the shoulder. The joint involved is the glenohumeral joint. The muscles involved are the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. This movement occurs along the frontal plane.